Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matt here, back with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. So, we coming up off of UFC San Antonio, so I just wanted to drop in, go over a couple of things with you, you know what I'm saying? So, first off, we kind of want to touch on Macy Barber defeats Andrea Lee, you know, okay, so Macy Barber defeats Andrea Lee by decision. I am a big, I'm a Macy Barber fan. I wouldn't say I'm a big Macy Barber fan, but she did edge her out in the win. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there was definitely a world where Andrea Lee definitely could have won that fight, but Macy Barber took it by the scorecards. That could have been, that was some rough judging. It was definitely tons of questionable judging that night there in Texas, but nevertheless, Macy Barber takes that win, so it'll be interesting to see where she wants to go after that, or at least where the UFC will put her. She's on a 4-fight winning streak, so that should be interesting. I'm just going to touch on just a couple of fights today. All right, we're not going to go over the whole card. How about Nate Landwehr? Nate the Train, baby. Country boy. That's what I'm talking about. Representing the country boys out there. Nate Landwehr goes in there and defeats Austin Lingo. That was a great fight. It ended in the second round. Great fight though. Nate Landwehr probably lost the first round. Austin Lingo, he came to fight that night. He wasn't playing around. I felt like Nate Landwehr might have been just a smidgen behind on the stand up in the first round. And Austin Lingo, he definitely did his thing. But second round, when it comes to being a dog, man, some of these fighters, they dogs, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Nate Landwehr went in there second round. He knew he had to do something. If he was gonna try to stretch it out to a decision, he's at least got to win the second and the third. But I mean, he went in there and did his thing with the sucker punch choke. There's not a whole lot else you can really go over with that. Outstanding post-fight interview. I did see him on Ariel Hawani's show yesterday. Great interview on that. He's a real cool guy. I loved his story about how he kind of separates from his family and just gets in that war zone, gets in that mindset before a fight while he's training. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. I really like him. I definitely think from just a dog fighting perspective, like a guy that's just going in there just a battle. I always put on a good show and have a good post-fight speech. He's definitely that guy. I'm not sure, if he's championship material or anything like that, and it's no disrespect to him because I love the guy, but we'll have to see how it all turns out. But it was cool seeing him get that win. Then we had Holly Holmes in there. Holly Holmes, I mean, what you gonna say? You know what I'm saying? What you gonna say about future Hall of Famer Holly Holmes? She goes in there. It was good to see her get a good dominant win. She goes in there. She beats Yana Santos, if I'm saying her last name right. Wife of Maheta, Maheta. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty cool to see Holly Holmes go in there and get the win. Wasn't the most exciting fight. She had to go in there. She had to do what she got to do. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. What you want from her. Sometimes you got to go in there. You got to grapple. You got to hold the person up against the cage. She did have some vicious ground and pound though. Vicious elbows when she got on top of her on the ground. So I mean, you got to give her that. And she tried to finish her, but Yana ain't no joke either. She's definitely she's had better days. I'm not saying she should retire or anything, but she is somewhat on the tail end. But it was good to see Holly Holmes go out there and get a big win, and that was kind of cool. So I like seeing that. Let's move on because I was on here doing a lot of these videos, and I was talking about my boy Chito Vera and how that fight was really gonna look, and that was pretty cool. But let's just actually get into that main event. So your boy picked wrong. Corey Sandhagen went out there and simply just put on a clinic. I mean, he put on a clinic. And I mean, styles make fights. So I mean, Corey Sandhagen's style, I let the fan take over in me, And I just couldn't really see past being a fan of Cheeto. But at the end of the day, styles make fights, and Corey Sandhagen's style of fighting was perfect for Cheeto Vera, you know, in the sense of taking that L. And Sandhagen went out there and did his thing. I mean, what little grappling he had to do was on point. Takedowns looked good. The stand up was amazing. The timing was on point. You know, he kept Cheeto on the back foot, and there wasn't a lot that Cheeto could do. Cheeto would strike with power, but Sandhagen just wasn't there for him to hit. You know, Sandhagen's side to side movement, I should say, was really good. Crisp jab, you know, threw out a flying knee. I mean, sharp elbows, good elbow work on the ground. Amazing fight. And now, you know, Corey Sandhagen takes that win. So at this point, I mean, bantamweight division is very interesting because, you know, in May we're going to have Henry Cejudo challenge Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight belt. That should be a great fight. I'm very excited for that. After that, I mean, it's obvious that at the end of the day, I don't care what you think, Sean O'Malley is waiting in the wings. I mean, he's definitely going to get the title shot as far as the winner between Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling. So he's definitely going to get that fight. So I mean, he's just kind of in a holding pattern. He's just kind of waiting until the winner of that fight emerges, and then he'll go ahead and fight for the belt. And I would have to think, you know, in a normal world, a guy like Corey Sandhagen would wait it out, and he would fight the winner of Sean O'Malley challenging for the title. But when you're talking about Corey the Sandman Sandhagen, ain't no waiting, bro. Ain't gonna be no waiting. So Corey Sandhagen's out here challenging Merab. Who wants to fight Merab? Nobody except for Corey. So he's out there challenging Merab, and I mean, I want to see that fight because Corey Sandhagen might be the guy to figure Merab out, honestly. And I know Merab has taken a loss before, but Corey Sandhagen might be that guy to figure him out. He's a very cerebral fighter. You know, he comes in there very schooled, very, you know, solid game plan, you know, every time. And it's going to be very interesting to see if the UFC goes ahead and does that fight and has Merab fight Corey Sandhagen. Because honestly, if Merab wins that fight, and let's just say, I don't know, let's say Aljo loses the belt to Henry. And at that point, it's obvious Merab is either going to fight, is definitely going to fight the winner of who? Sean O'Malley and Henry Cejudo, right? Or let's say Aljo beats Henry and he goes out there and he loses to Sean O'Malley. Merab would be in line for that. But Corey Sandhagen's coming in here like, nah, we're not doing none of that. I want to beat the toughest guy in the division besides the champion, and then I'll fight for the belt. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Is Corey Sandhagen in there against Merab? I'm kind of excited to see how that'll turn out. Hopefully the UFC will go ahead and make that fight. Outside of that, I mean, there's a couple good scraps on that card, but, you know, not a ton. But, you know, overall, you know, good night of fights. Keeps you from, you know, losing your mind watching something stupid on Netflix. I mean, you know, we sick of it. So, you know, gave you something to throw on the TV real quick, you know, do your thing. But outside of that, man, not a lot going on. I did see that Ariel Helwani, he actually interviewed the former champion Shevchenko. We talking about Shevchenko. Got interviewed yesterday by Ariel Helwani. You know, what can you expect? You know, she basically was talking about she wants to get a rematch. It looks like that's definitely going to be the next fight the UFC is going to do. She wants a rematch against Alexa Grasso for a 125-pound belt. So flyweight title. So that should be interesting. I mean, she really seems to believe that, you know, at the end of the day, she was definitely going to win the fight. And she doesn't feel like the rematch will go any different. And, you know, it's hard to say because it's like, did Alexa Grasso win from that simple mistake? Simple mistake, but a costly mistake from Shevchenko. Um, is that what happened there? And you tried the spin kick, she took the back, choked you out. I mean, was it that, or is Shevchenko starting to lose a step? Her last two fights, I mean, she was dominating, against Alexa Grasso, at least for the second and third round. But it's hard to say. Father Time waits for no one. He's undefeated. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if Shevchenko has lost a step or if Alexa Grasso was that prepared. I don't know if she won that fight based out of a mistake by Shevchenko or what. I will say I also watched a few interviews with Alexa Grasso after she won the belt, and she seems to be in such a good place. She's still very humble, but she seems to be in a good place and very confident. And, the great Teddy Atlas once said that once someone defeats the champion and becomes the champion, they instantly become a fighter that's 30% better. So, I don't know. I mean, I've always been a Shevchenko fan, but honestly, I mean, some of these champions outside of Amanda Nunes, they don't do too good in the rematch, and they end up losing again, a la Kamaru Usman. So that'd be very interesting to see what happens between Alexa Grasso and Shevchenko. Um, not sure how that's going to happen. Shevchenko definitely said she is willing to go to Mexico to fight her for the rematch. She's not worried about that. And in one of the coldest things I've heard in an interview, Shevchenko basically says, I love the silence of the home crowd. Like, I love to go in there, devastate your fighter, and hear the audience in pure silence because they have to watch their fighter getting mauled. I mean, Shevchenko, come on, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's what you want from a fighter. She was also saying stuff about, uh, when Ariel was like, how are you able to process this? How are you able to bounce back? You seem like you're not even phased by the loss in that fight. How are you able to do that? And for her to just simply answer, I'm built different. I'm a warrior and I'm built different from most people and I'm equipped for this. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, Shevchenko. However, I mean, Alexa Grasso, she got that confidence behind her. She's got a nation behind her. Viva Mexico. I probably completely said that wrong. No disrespect to anybody. I'm from the country, so I'm sorry. But, you know, very interesting to see how that goes. But nevertheless, I mean, it was a interesting night of fights. That's something that's on the horizon. And that's about it. I appreciate you all joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, hit me up in the comments. I definitely appreciate you checking out the video. Awesome to have a little bit of feedback from some of you guys. That's been cool to hear from you. So, nevertheless, I'll see you again here soon. And until then, peace.